Jordan-Hare Stadium, Iron Bowl, night game. Can Auburn actually beat Alabama? Yes. This is the Third Down Conversation. Let's talk about it. Now, before you call me delusional or crazy, or you might even believe me, let me set the stage for this game. It's in Jordan-Hare Stadium. Nick Saban said himself that the place is haunted. And it is, frankly. It appears to be. I used to push against that as a fan, but it's hard to explain the prayer at Jordan-Hare. It's hard to explain the kick six. Weird things happen at Jordan-Hare. They just do. But if the spirits don't show up, that's okay. Because even Vegas believes this would be a close game. The spread is only 6 in favor of Alabama. Usually, it's double digits. Bama's favored by, 10 to 14 points. Usually. So that means that Auburn's going to be in the game. But I don't want to get too ahead of myself. So to make sure that I'm somewhat unbiased, I will tell you the way I think Bama could win this game. I'm going to give you 2 keys for the offense, and then I give you 2 keys to victory for the defense. Let's start with the offense. The first thing is going to be do not give up on running the ball. Alabama they can't run the ball. They don't run the ball well. And oftentimes, they tend to give up on the run game. I think too soon, which then puts extra pressure on their passing game. In their previous game against Oklahoma, there were several instances where it's 3rd and short, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, and they wouldn't just run the ball. They would instead go with like a short pass. And that tells you that they don't really trust that running game. You can't get a yard or 2, 3 yards. You have to go to a quick pass. And maybe that's because the offensive line is just not that great. Their tackles, not that great. They rely heavily on that passing game, and they're going to need the running game. In this game, if they happen to win this game moving forward, they're going to need it to ultimately be the best version of themselves. But again, they give up on the run way too soon and become so pass happy. So the first key for them is run the ball, and even when it's not working, stick with it. The second key, attacking Auburn's secondary. Now, this sounds a little contradictory, but their strongest portion of their offense is the pass. They've got elite receivers, and Ty Simpson, he's better than what I thought he was. I give him his credit. He can sling it. More importantly, Auburn's secondary, mainly the safeties, they're bad. Especially Caleb Harris, which is a shock to most Auburn fans because as a true freshman, he was actually pretty good. He was a 3-star coming out of Thompson, and people were very impressed with how he played last season as a true freshman. But this year, he can cook this year. Cooked. I was listening to Locked On Auburn, which is another podcast, but they read off a stat that when passes are completed on Caleb Harris, it's at least 20 yards. So when he gets beat, he gets beat. He's had maybe 20 passes attempted on him all season, and 15 have been completed. So right now he's kind of awful in coverage. The numbers say he's a bad coverage guy. That doesn't even account for some of the coverage busts that have been his responsibility. Bama should attack him, and they will attack him. One of our starting corners, Kane Lee. They're going to attack him too because teams have been attacking him all season as well, and he hasn't been great. So Bama's going to have to attack the secondary, yes, but that doesn't mean you abandon the run. You keep the run, and then you hit him with the pass. I mean, those two guys, they get beat often. From a defensive standpoint, Bama has to stop the run, and they haven't done a great job of doing that all season. Teams have been able to bully them. Florida State, Vandy, Oklahoma have been able to just do what they want in the running game. South Carolina. And Auburn is going to want to come in and run the ball. So Alabama has to stop the run. They absolutely have to. Which leads to my second point for the defense. If they're able to stop the run and get Auburn in 3rd and long, that's going to be bad for my Tigers. Because Auburn does not do well with converting on 3rd down, especially 3rd and long. Now, most of that's due to Hugh Freeze, and if you want to call that coaching, you can, but I wouldn't call it coaching. But if they can get Auburn in 3rd and long, it's going to be a long night for my boys. It's going to be a long night for my Tigers. Now let's transition to Auburn and how Auburn can win this game. And the number one thing for Auburn, again, I'm giving you 2 on offense and 2 on defense. These are keys to victory for Auburn. On offense, the number one thing is maintain balance on offense, meaning you're running the ball well and passing the ball. Just a nice balanced attack, much like what they did against Vandy. They threw for 353, ran for over 200. That's what I call balance. Those numbers don't have to be exactly that high, but just close to each other. You need to be over 200 in passing yard for sure, and at least close to 200, but more than likely over 200 in rushing. That's a nice, solid, balanced offense. And if Auburn can do that, they'll be just fine. Get your playmakers the ball, Cam Coleman, Eric Singleton, Malcolm Simmons. Let Cobb get his touches and stay out of 3rd and long. Keep everything 3rd and manageable. Stay ahead of the chains. If they can do that, the offense will be fine. The second key for the offense is scoring touchdowns in the red zone. They're going to have to score to keep up with Alabama's offense because our defense is going to do well, but they're going to give up yards. Bama will get into the red zone, and they're going to score, especially early. Bama typically gets off to a really good start. So Auburn is going to have to stay in this game early. And that's going to require scoring touchdowns when they get in the red zone. Field goals, no, don't want them. Not in the red zone. In the red zone, we need to get in the dirt. Defensively, get stops on 3rd down, especially 3rd and long. One of the nicknames of DJ's Durkin's defense is 3rd and Durkin, which simply means they're going to give up a 1st down when it's 3rd and long. And they have been doing that all season. They get teams to 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, and they give up a 1st down. Oftentimes because they drop into a zone and don't get pressure on the quarterback, and teams just find the soft spot, 1st down. Or if it's like 3rd and 15, they end up giving up like 12 yards of that, and then the team goes for it on 4th down because now it's 4th and manageable, 4th and 2. Got to get stops on 3rd down and continue to be stingy in the red zone, meaning make teams kick field goals. The last thing the defense will need to do is get pressure on Ty Simpson. I don't believe Alabama will be able to run the ball on Auburn. I also don't believe they're going to stick with the run. Coaches are who they are. Hugh Freeze, the run could be working, and he'd still go away from it. Alabama's OC, Ryan Grubb, strikes me as a similar type guy. Wants to pass the ball at all costs, even if the run is working. So Auburn's going to have to get pressure on Ty Simpson. Bama's left tackle and right tackle, they're not great. Keldrick Faulk going to need you to show up. Chris Murray going to need you to show up. Xavier Atkins, Gonna need you to show up. DJ Durkin, bring the pressure, bring the blitzes. And yeah, Ty has been good against blitzes all season. He's done well, but I'd rather bring the pressure than sit back in zones. So Alabama's keys to victory: attacking the secondary, don't give up on the run game, stop Auburn from running the ball, and get Auburn in 3rd and long. Auburn's keys to victory: balance on offense, scoring touchdowns in the red zone, getting stops on 3rd down, especially 3rd and long, please, and get pressure on Ty Simpson. Now let's explore if Alabama loses the Iron Bowl. What happens to Kalen DeBoer? Well, they will run him out of town. Like, fans are going to be upset. Boosters are going to be upset. How could you lose to Auburn with an interim coach? No playoffs for the 2nd year in a row. Oh, my gosh. Get him out of here. He doesn't belong here. And I can understand that frustration. I can understand that hurt. However, he was following Nick Saban. That was going to be tough. But in year 1, he won 9 games. In year 2, at worst, he's going to win 9 games. Most fan bases would kill for that. And I can hear Bama fans now. We different. We expect championships. I understand that. But give him time. I will say that he's a good coach. Admittedly, I think he's a good coach. Think about what he's done the last 2 years. I think it's impressive. Coming behind Nick Saban, I think it's impressive. He's done better than I anticipated. Bama is still recruiting well, even though he's there. He's definitely a good X's and O's guy. If they're not making the playoff, Alabama and their fans and their boosters, they want nothing to do with you. I've even read reports that he doesn't like Tuscaloosa. So imagine feeling like that, or imagine you being on a job and you're doing the very best you can. You're actually being successful, and it's just not enough. It's just not enough. You winning 9 games. You in playoff contention. You in conference championship contention, and it's just not enough. Constantly being told they want more. They want more. So much so that he doesn't like being there anymore. And again, that's just a report. Just a report. Another report came out this past week saying that Penn State is looking at him to fill their head coaching position. And I think if Penn State were to offer him the job, he'd take it. He'd take it very, very quickly. Penn State gave James Franklin like 10 years before they got fed up. DeBoer's in year 2. He's in year 2. And I think most Bama fans are already fed up with him. Like it's wild. It's wild, but hey, when you're a fan, short for fanatic, you can be a bit delusional. And as an Auburn fan, I want Alabama to run him off. He lost to Florida State, and people was ready to hit the lotto just to pay his buyout. That's insane. But yeah, Alabama fans, if you're out there, run him off. Run him off. To close out this show, let's talk a little about some national storylines. Obviously, there's a Lane Kiffin update. Florida and LSU are offering Lane ridiculous amount of money, like $90+ million, and guaranteeing at least $25 million of NIL for the roster. That is insane. Like, that's nuts, and it's so unprecedented. Ole Miss is willing to match it, which is, again, crazy numbers. There's belief that Lane is going to LSU. I think that's a horrible move based on LSU's current situation. If I'm a coach, if I'm Lane, I'm not going there. The governor's involved. There's no AD in place. It just seems like a madhouse over there. If I'm leaving Ole Miss as Lane Kiffin, I'm going to Florida. Just seems more stable there. I do believe Lane should stay. Why start over? Clearly, you can win at Ole Miss. But I can understand wanting to challenge yourself and try something new. But that new situation needs to be stable. Florida is broken right now. But it's not a dumpster fire. The second part about Lane I want to talk about is this. There's still media members saying that Lane should not be allowed to finish coaching at Ole Miss if he decides to leave. Now, remember, an announcement is coming Saturday after the Egg Bowl. And that doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand why people are saying that. Because this type of stuff happens in everyday life all the time. Managers have jobs and they're over people. Yet they go out and seek other opportunities to better themselves, meaning interview for jobs. They accept said job and then they turn in a notice and they are allowed to work out that notice. That notice can be 2 weeks. That notice can be a month. Like, this isn't unheard of. This happens all the time. Like, and the fact that people try to make it seem like it's something so foreign or out of left field is just ridiculous. Like, it's a normal thing. It's a normal thing. Let Lane finish what he started. The players wants that. Lane wants that. Ole Miss has never achieved this type of success. And they're in line for something historic is for their program. The next storyline I want to hit is Notre Dame being ranked higher than Alabama in the playoff rankings. To me, that makes zero sense. Like, it equals craziness. There's no way. If you look at Notre Dame's resume and Alabama's resume, there's no way you can put Notre Dame above them. Notre Dame has 2 quality wins. 2. Pittsburgh and USC. I put USC in there, even though I don't think USC is that great, but I put them in there. Alabama, on the other hand, has 4. Tennessee, Vandy, Georgia, and Missouri. And prior to Missouri losing this past weekend, they were still ranked. And that's due to, just for the record, Missouri lost their quarterback for like a week or 2. And he just came back last week. They lost to Oklahoma. But still, they've got 4 quality wins. 4 of them. Notre Dame, 2. And I understand that the pushback is going to be Alabama lost to Florida State. And Florida State is currently like 5-6. I understand that. That's a bad loss. And that loss is bringing them down and giving this whole Notre Dame over Alabama life. However, who you beat, in my opinion, should weigh more than who beat you when you're talking about 2 teams with the same record. They both have 2 losses. Alabama's strength of schedule blows Notre Dame's out of the water. It's not close. It's not close. They don't have a win as good as beating Georgia. They don't have a win as good as beating Tennessee. So, Bama fans, you should be upset. Notre Dame should not be ranked above Alabama. And the last portion of this segment, these are national storylines. Let's dive into some of the rivalry games that are coming up. Let's start with Georgia and Georgia Tech. They're going to play Friday night. Georgia is favored by 14. Now, last year in Athens, Georgia and Georgia Tech went to 8 overtimes with Georgia edging them out. This year, the game is going to be in Atlanta. Georgia Tech is the home team. And I like Georgia Tech's chances. I think last week, losing to Pitt, they were looking ahead to Georgia. And losing that game put them on the outside of the ACC championship. So now they need this game to potentially vault them back into playoff discussion. I'm thinking this is going to be another back and forth game with Georgia winning by like a field goal, maybe a touchdown. But Tech covers. The next game I look at is Texas A&M and Texas. A&M is favored by 2.5. The game is in Austin. This is going to be another tight one. But I think Texas and Arch Manning, they come to play. And if they can get just a couple of turnovers, much like South Carolina was able to force Texas A&M quarterback into last week, Marcel Reed, he should have he threw 2, but probably should have threw 5 interceptions in that first half against South Carolina. I believe Texas will be able to force them into some mistakes. And I'm going to go Texas for the win. Texas at home beats A&M. A&M still makes the conference championship, still makes the playoff, but give me the Longhorns at home. Miami versus Pittsburgh. Miami is favored by 7. Pitt is the home team. Now, what Pittsburgh's trying to accomplish is getting into the ACC Conference Championship game so that they can potentially win that game and make the playoff. Miami is after the same thing. Neither team can afford a loss. At home, I like Pittsburgh with the points. So if I was going to bet it, I would say Pittsburgh plus 7. Take that. But I think Miami wins. I think Pitt covers, but Miami wins. Now let's move to the game, which is Ohio State versus Michigan. Ohio State is favored by 10, and the over-under is 44.5. And I bring up the over-under for a reason. But first, Ohio State hasn't beaten Michigan since 2019. When I looked that up, I couldn't believe it's been that long. Even last year, Michigan won 13-10. However, Ohio State won national championship. So I guess that's a good trade. But Ohio State is ready to beat Michigan, I'm sure. I do think Ohio State wins. Julian Sayin, their quarterback, gunslinger, really good at what he does. Jeremiah Smith, a stud receiver. Like, dude is a athletic freak. Easily going to be a first-round draft pick. Could be number 1 overall. I think he's going to give Michigan fits. That Ohio State defense with Caleb Downs as their leader, just Ohio State is tough to beat. Very tough to beat. But I think Michigan's going to hang in there. I think Michigan's going to put some points up. So I do like the over, which is 44.5. I like the over in that game, but Ohio State wins. Ohio State covers. Tennessee versus Vandy. And look, Vandy could really help themselves potentially make the playoff by winning this game. Tennessee is favored by 2.5. This game is at Vandy. It's going to be a game. It's going to be a dogfight. Vandy's very physical up front. They run the ball well. Tennessee wants to spread you out, run it, but then hit you over the top. It's going to be a really, really good game. However, I like Tennessee minus 2.5 to beat Vandy and end all playoff talk for the Commodores. And to end rivalry week, the Iron Bowl. Auburn versus Alabama. Jordan Hare, night game. Can my Tigers do it? Again, Jordan Hare is weird. Is that night? I think the spirit's going to be alive. It's going to be rocking. I do like Auburn plus 7. Bama's they're going to come out. They're going to spread the ball around. I do believe they're going to have a lot of success. I think they have marginal success in the run game, but their passing game, attacking our secondary, does concern me. And I think they're going to be in a really good shape late in this game to make plays and to put Auburn away. But I think the defense stands tall at the biggest moment, at the most critical moment of the game. Keldrick Falk, he's going to make a play. I think Keldrick makes a play on Ty Simpson to either get Auburn back the ball or maybe it's like a strip fumble or something of that nature. I think Jay Crawford, he's our best cover corner. I think he makes plays. I think the defense with Xavier Atkinson calling the plays as one our star linebacker, I think they make a play at the most critical moment. that bend but don't break and puts the offense in position to win this game. Ashton Daniels and the crew, Cam Coleman, Eric Singleton, Jeremiah Cobb, they make enough plays to get Auburn in position for a game-winning field goal. And Alex McPherson comes out there and drills 45-yarder. And that wins the game. Sounds a bit like Disney. I don't care. I like my guys' chances to upset the Tide. This has been the Third Down Conversation. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share the show. I am D Turnipseed. Jesus loves you, and I'm out. Peace.